Now we're here, people. We're here. I had some questions on here. People had asked. Welcome to the stream, guys. We're here. We're going to be talking about Volkanovski fight versus Islam. We have Sam with us, the man with all the answers, any and all answers that you should have. I had some questions here regarding this before. People had posted some questions, and now for some reason I can't see them. I wonder why that is. Let me see if I can find them on my phone because I had some questions from people.
I can still see some up there in the comments part.
I can't on my phone because I had some questions. Can you ask them, Semi, just to get started?
Yeah. So Nathan Gorman asked, when Islam used the tie clinch in the first fight, Volk did a great job by breaking it and pushing it off the hips, but it seems like Islam had more power in the second fight to keep it longer to land knees.
Islam definitely was bigger and stronger in that second fight for sure. I do think that the rehydration window matters immensely, and I think I read somewhere that Javier Mendez was saying that he was like 8 pounds, which is almost 4 kilos heavier, like in the second fight compared to the first. So this is huge, coupled with the fact that I don't think Alex was at his best. Yeah, like I don't doubt that he would have been much stronger in the clinch. Another question, Sammy?
John Wayne asked, Islam allowed Volk to use an underhook to turn Islam back into the cage. Are you surprised Makhachev made a simple mistake by not keeping his arm tighter to Volk's chest, thus preventing the underhook?
I don't think that he needed to, though. Like, I think that he wanted the grappling. He wanted those grappling exchanges. And there's things that Islam does very well when he's up against the cage, when he's got his back to the cage. If you see him use that whizzer, he uses that whizzer to do throws and to do Uchimata-style throws, trips and whatnot. So I don't think that was a huge issue for him. I think that also you've got to understand, Volkanovski's he's not a numbnut. It's not like he does something, he only did it because you made a mistake. Volkanovski is trying to do that. Another question, Sammy? If you could go through them. I don't have any questions until SG says watching Volk in the post-fight presser, which we will get to. So that's all I have. So if you can just, we'll try and machine gun through most of these.
Yeah, so Pepgard asks, every time Volk would want to circle out, Islam would cage cut him by kicking him. Was this the biggest adjustment Islam made in the rematch?
I think the biggest adjustment that Islam made in this rematch was the use of the teep, the use of the left body kick, and the use of the left high kick. And he did it to I saw some stats on this. He did it to a ridiculous amount. Like, I think he'd throw, and maybe you have the stats on this, Sam. I don't know, because we've been trying to get the stats for this fight and we haven't been able to do it. But Sam, being the genius that he is, has been able to get bits and pieces. But long story short, I think Islam would throw on average, 1 kick or 2 kicks around. And in this fight, didn't even go around. He'd already thrown 6 body kicks or something like that. And which is, I don't know how many times more than normal. So he's much more aggressive. It's something that I've always wondered why he doesn't do more of as well, having the skills that he does with his wrestling and his grappling and whatnot, and his ability to kick, because he kicks really well. He kicks really, really well. Next one, Sammy, if you could.
Yes. Death Note asks, how come Islam's striking has become so good and he is so composed and calm, considering that he was a heavy grappler first?
I think whilst he has improved recently, I think also people forget these guys that come from combat sambo background. Like, Islam's a world champion combat sambo champion. So his background, he's probably had 200, 300, 400 amateur combat sambo matches. And so that's a lot of striking. That's a lot of striking to deal with. It's a lot of different distances. And you see it with Aliskerov. A few years ago, they weren't the most polished guys with their striking, but they still understand distance and they understand people striking and they understand people moving in and out, And then as they start to concentrate more, they start to fight at a higher level and they start to understand that probably combat sambo style of striking is not enough. They start to polish up their striking a lot. So the jumps look really, really big, but you forget the background that they have in striking or in ability to deal with strikes, rather. Sammy, if you could.
Just at your point before as well. So obviously it only went for a couple of minutes, but Volk landed 9 strikes to the body in those first 3 minutes. 13 strikes to the head, 9 strikes to the body, and 2 strikes to the legs. Normally, historically, Makhachev has only landed about 2.8 strikes to the body per round, and about says half a strike on average. So to the legs. So some rounds he's not even landing any leg strikes at all.
Sorry, you said Volk landed. You mean Islam landed?
Yeah, Islam landed. Only so normally he only lands about 2 to 3 strikes to the body, and this fight he landed 9 strikes to the body, and that's just in the first 3 minutes, obviously, as well. So the rest of his stats are considered per like 5-minute rounds. So this has only been the 3-minute round as well.
Yeah, so he was fighting. That were huge adjustments, and you can see that statistically. Again, if you say to me, "I don't give a shit what the stat says," I can't do anything about that. But statistically, even you can see the shift in what he did. Which makes total sense when you have the height advantage that you do over another guy like he did against Islam. The height and the reach and everything, it's huge. And that is another thing. Sometimes I talk about this with people. People go, "Nah, Volkanovski's got the longer reach, but he's shorter and blah, blah, blah." But the height still matters, dude, because the dude's head is here, like at chest level. You know what I mean? And you can kick that much easier than Volkanovski can kick your head. People go, Gastelum kicked Israel. Yes, he did. But it's much easier for Israel to kick Gastelum in the head. If you fucking can't see that, I can't help you. Next one, Sammy.
So Max Jamal asked, what happened to Volk's striking? He couldn't blitz in or use his right hand and barely stance switched. So what did Islam do to shut this down?
We just mentioned that then. The body strikes and the teeps down the middle. Like the front kicks down the middle will disrupt your blitzing for sure. That's 100%. What's next, Sammy?
Jordan Martinez asked, why do you think Islam shot from far to engage in the grappling with Volk? It reminded me of Khabib versus Conor round 1, where Khabib shot low and shot from a distance. Islam did the same on Saturday.
Islam it's there's 2 things that happen with Islam and Alex. You don't generally want to shoot. It's not a must, but you don't want to shoot with your head on the inside of the power hand, right? But Islam is a southpaw, so he would normally shoot and his head would go on Alex's right-hand side, if that makes sense. So he's shooting from where he's shooting, the head's generally going to go to the right-hand side on a normal double leg, right? Which is what makes Islam's shots against Alex look a bit gronky as well, because one, Alex is short, good center of gravity, but he's shooting with his head outside. It's actually like a bad shot that he's shooting. So it's not the best guy to shoot the double legs on, especially the way that he's trying to shoot. He wants to shoot his head on the outside, not into like a right uppercut or a right knee. So he gets his head on the outside. But he's left-handed, and so he's got his right hand out the front. That's number one. Number 2, he just wanted to engage in the grappling and push Alex into the cage and get the grappling started. That's what I think he wanted to do, just to start to tire Alex out, etc. Next one, Sammy, please.
Yes, Nathan Gorman asked, Javier Mendez said on his podcast that Islam on Fight Night was 8 pounds heavier than he was in the first fight. Any thoughts?
We spoke to that already. So next one.
Fair enough. Kenzo Tenma asked, what will it take for Islam to surpass Khabib's lightweight legacy and become the lightweight GOAT? Record title defense is 3 and Islam has 2. How does he need 2 more wins to become the lightweight GOAT?
I think it's funny, because the way Khabib did stuff was pretty fucking impressive. And Khabib didn't, other than Conor, right? Khabib didn't have a nemesis, if that makes sense. Whereas I feel that early in Britt Isley says, I'm here from Guru's stream. Welcome, sir, welcome. The Guru's a champion. He had a nemesis, which really blew him up. I think Conor really did blow him up, and the whole bus thing and the stuff that Conor said. So he had a nemesis, and people really rooted for Khabib, or they were rooting for Conor. But either way, people were emotionally invested in Khabib's fights because of being Conor's nemesis. Conor, blah 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 blah. I think that served a massive purpose. But as far as actual resumes are concerned, beating Volkanovski twice, beating Charles Oliveira, and beating them in the fashion in which Islam has done, if you're talking about resume only, it's getting there, man. It's getting there. Like, if he beats Gaethje, Gaethje can stone fucking anyone at any time. If he beats Gaethje, then we have conversation there. You know what I mean? He's beaten some pretty impressive guys. Hooker as well. The way he beats them is pretty crazy. Next one, Sammy.
So Pep Guard asks, what do you make of Islam's clinch game versus Volk? And when he fought Charles, were there any similarities or differences?
I think the biggest thing, there was a massive difference in Islam, and you can't deny this, and I'm fucking going for Volkanovski, but Islam was at his worst in that fight, and he was at his best in this one, and Volkanovski was at his best in the first fight and at his worst in the second. This is physically, you can see this in both these guys. You don't have to be expert. This is, they reversed each other's roles, basically. Go on, Sammy, if you could, please.
Yes, there's a couple of questions related to the similar thing. So, Light Yagami asked, what do you make of Islam saying that post-fight interview that he planned to kick low and then high versus Charles, but implemented the same game plan for Volk? He just gave away his game plan versus Charles. Any thoughts? And then the next one also says, if Islam does implement the go low and then go high kicking game versus Charles, how does Charles counter that and make Makhachev pay?
If Charles can catch a kick and get on top of Islam, that will be interesting. I don't think Alex really would pose the same threats that Charles poses. Not that Alex doesn't pose his own threats, but he doesn't pose the same kind of grappling threats that Charles has, if you know what I mean. And I think that Islam should incorporate that left kick to, like Rockhold used to kick. I think he should impose that kind of game more. So it doesn't surprise me that he does that kick to the body and then left high kick. That should be more. And they have the same, like Javier Mendez was Luke Rockhold's coach as well. So I definitely think he should spam that, the body kick and head kick. Anything else there, Sammy?
Similarly, on that same line of thought as well, Max Jamal asks, Islam threw a lot of kicks and threw one high early on. Are you surprised Volk didn't detect a potential high kick from Islam? Or was the kick that good that no defense would have stopped it?
I think we're guilty of revisionist history in MMA because, man, Volk, he could have got kicked like that in the first fight, and that would have been over. He could have landed more flush, could have got countered. In the first exchanges in that first fight, Islam dropped Volk and Volk took a knee. Do you know what I mean? Like, he dropped to a knee. So anything can happen, man. Like, maybe Volkanovski was getting flogged and then threw an overhand right, dropped Islam, slept him, everyone would be saying different, So it happened because it happened the way that it happened, and Islam did a great job of setting it up, So this is true. Do you want to ask one more from that, and then we'll just go into the chat that's here, guys? If I miss any of the stuff that's on that other chat, which Sam is reading it from, please put your comments on this chat. So if you want to ask one more, Sammy.
I think that's actually basically it. But Sean C then asked, so the next one was from Sean C, just said, do you think the full training camp would have changed the outcome? He said, I don't think he would have seen the head kick set up coming either.
Yeah, so that's what I'm reading. That's what we're up to now. I don't know, dude. Like, I think a full training camp would have changed Alex, but that doesn't mean that Islam wouldn't still have done what Islam does. So, yeah, for sure, Alex would be different, but that doesn't mean that you don't get clobbered in the first round like that, or that He could have come in eating a donut and clobbered Islam in the first fight. Then everyone would be like, he's the greatest person ever. Which kind of segues to SG saying, watching Volk in the post-fight presser was tough. Hope he's all right mentally. And I definitely do feel for Volkanovski myself, you know. And I'm careful not to speak too much about this because it's mental health is a tough thing. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know anything, you know. And so to say what I think he should do is this. The only thing I would say is if you broke your ankle or you sprained your ankle or fucking any part of your body, you'd go see a physio. You wouldn't just go, man, I really like running. I'm going to keep on running on my broken ankle. You wouldn't do that. That wouldn't, I mean, you might do that, but you should go see a physio or a doctor or a surgeon or something. So if you're struggling with mental health, which is very fucking common and we all do, absolutely. Every single person you see, every person you think of that you think doesn't go through it or pretends that they don't, they do. And if they don't, they're a fucking sociopath and they've got other issues anyways. So if you're struggling through that, you need to go and deal with somebody that's a mental health professional. I would not recommend you booking more fights to deal with the fact that you feel like empty without fights, because unfortunately, I'm not even speaking about Volkanovski here, I'm speaking about anyone. Unfortunately, that train is going to come to an end at some point regardless, and you need to find ways of scaffolding around that. That's my take on that. That's what I took from listening to Volkanovski, and my heart goes out to him. I hope he's okay. This is 100% the thing. I just don't think that booking fights and that might help you in the short run, but I think you probably need to go, and it might be the answer. I don't know. It could be the answer, but I do think you probably need to go see someone if that is the case. Maybe he already is. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Semi?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about on that respect actually, but yeah, might be.
Yeah. I just think but I do think if you sprained your ankle, you'd go see a physio. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't just double down on it. Like this is for him to be as upset as he was at the presser and everything. I do think it's important that he gets the help around it. You know what I mean? So that's my take on that. Brett Eiley says, here from the Guru Stream. Cheddar Head says, ahoy, ahoy, right back at you. Danny Anthony says, I think Gaethje will TKO Islam in the third. I mean, Gaethje can TKO anyone, for sure. Sam Tahi says, Fab, I miss you roasting Rob. We need to move on, Sam. We need to move on. But thank you. I appreciate you, my friend. Sean C says, if Gaethje lets Islam come to him, he gets wrestled against the cage. If he tries to pressure Islam, he gets countered. It's a lose-lose situation since he's worse than Islam skill-wise. It could be the case, but 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2, because it's hard to fight a guy with the reckless abandon that Gaethje has, that can hit as hard as Gaethje can, that is as durable as Gaethje is. So these are difficult things, although I still favor Islam. Brett Isley says, the only problem I would have with Islam as GOAT would be him having wins over only 2 top 5 guys, and one of them being a current 145er and a former 145er. Yeah, I mean, Islam's career, even if he retired at the same age as Khabib, he's still like 2 years away from that, arguably 3 to 4 fights. So he could easily surpass Khabib, or he could lose his next 10 fights in a row. So who knows? Ofon says the advantages of a full camp would have likely outweighed the disadvantages. Absolutely, 100%. Tekla says, but Volk fought 3 months ago. That's not long at all. I hope he can rest well after TKO. He also had surgery, dude. He also had surgery in his elbow, a newborn, which a newborn's like full on. And by his own admission, had mental health struggles. Like I think the fight would look completely different if he'd had a full training camp. That doesn't mean that he would beat Islam, because that's kind of disrespectful to Islam. Islam, it's not anyone else's fault what happens. Islam went in there and took care of business, and he did what he had to do, and that is that. Like, you can't take that away from Islam. SG says, Volk sounded adamant on fighting in January. He may have a suspension, however. From the presser, it really sounded like he was addicted to fighting, training almost like an OCD. Yeah, like this is what I mean. I can't speak to that. Like I can't diagnose what he has. That's why I'm saying I think if you sprained your ankle, you should see a physio. If you have something on which we all do, a mental health situation, you should see a professional. Maybe he already is, though. He's not. He knows what to do, so he probably is seeing someone. But I can't speculate as to what it is or what he needs to do, or whatever, other than to say probably needs, if he isn't already, to see someone. Like, I don't know that booking more fights and that is a long-term solution. And Hanoi Trooper says, hi Fab, have you done any surfing lately? No, I'm a horrific surfer. And Sammy's a good surfer. I'm not a good surfer. I'm a threat to everyone in the water. Sammy, do you want to talk to any of the stats?
Yeah, so if you want to pull it up, here I'm just comparing their historical performance side by side, but I'm speaking to the fight overall so we can compare with their previous performance. So overall, for only 3 minutes of the fight, Islam scored 24 significant strikes. This is well above his average for normal first rounds, where he normally scores about 10 significant strikes. So normally on average, Islam scores around 2 strikes per minute in the first round, and this fight he scored 8 strikes per minute.
That's huge, though. That is huge in the first round. Like, that's sorry to interject, but that's just me saying, like, that speaks volumes to Islam's adjustments, not just to Alex not being prepared, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so he also increased his efficiency in striking, where he landed 83% of his significant strikes, and previously his first round average was about 56%. He was scored with 13 strikes to the head, 9 to the body, and 2 strikes to the legs of Volkanovski. Volk, on the other hand, obviously he didn't land many. He only landed 4 of 6 significant strikes. He was credited with 0 head strikes, 1 to the body and 3 to the legs of Makhachev. There was a few.
So was Volk. How far below his average was Volk?
Well, normally, like head strikes, he lands about 19 on average per round. You can see on that far left chart, but in this fight, he was credited with 0 head strikes. So from 19 to 0, basically.
Wow. And it was very early in the fight. It was very, very early in the fight. It was like, again, I don't know if that was due to him taking the fight on 10 days, or it was just Islam's adjustment and strength, which is part of the adjustment, that would have made things difficult for Alex. Brett Isley says, I get a bit fearful of Hamzat fighting over the full 5 rounds. His decline in output round by round is worrisome, to say the least. We did a breakdown on the Hamzat fight, so I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the Hamzat. But I will say, who knows as well, though, because you pace yourself different for 5 rounds over 3 rounds, and that's significant to remember. In a 3-round fight, though, if you win the first, especially if you win it by 10-8, it's going to be very hard for you to lose the fight. Whereas in a 5-round fight, you can win the first round 10-7 and still lose it. Brett Isley says, Islam looked extremely strong in the clinch, terrifyingly so. Yeah, it would be a full-strength Islam. That should be like C-level Kane. That's going to be a new one, full-strength Islam. But a full-strength Islam with his Thai clinch and his Sambo and wrestling background, with a height advantage on you, throwing knees up the middle would be horrible. And I'm saying this, man, I know Volkanovski, and Volkanovski's he's a brick, dude. I cannot begin to explain how strong this guy is. He's an absolute nature's miracle. That's what he is. He's nature's miracle. So for Islam to be able to handle that in the clinch, I don't know how strong he is. Also crazy to think that fighters like Volkanovski and Izzy are exiting their primes, says SG. I think it's interesting. I don't know who, what, whatever. I don't want to say that about fighters, but it is a thing that it's a crazy thing with that you go from being the younger guy in the division to in your prime to one of the older guys so quick. Johnny says, I remember hearing on the Weighing In podcast, John McCarthy and Josh Thompson, they always said he has a sneaky left high kick, but I never took note of it. But that kick would knock out a rhino. Dude, he was icing his shin after that kick. You know, this is serious. It makes me sad, man, to see that, because I like Volkanovski. I like him as a person and I like him as a fighter. So it's tough. Hanoi Tripper says, Islam is deceptively tough because of his face. Seems like a normal guy down the street. Laugh out loud. He does have like a, what would you say would be the term, Sammy? Would it be amicable or affable face? Like he has like an almost childish or childlike innocence to his face. You know what I mean? When you see people and you're like, but then you see like he switches, but he's like, is it just me? Do you see similar with Islam or not?
Switching when he's in the ring?
Yeah, like when you see him and he's just talking, or you see footage of him, he's got like an almost like an innocent look to him. You know what I mean? And then in the cage, he's a stone cold killer, man.
Yeah, well, I did notice that when they slowed down that head kick at the end. It looked angry.
And you see the grimace when he lands it. Yeah, man, brutal man. What else do you want to talk to with the stats, Semi?
Yeah, so just Volkanovski, previously he would score an average of around 4.8 strikes per minute, whereas in this fight he could only land about 1.3 strikes per minute. He did throw several strikes in the clinch, but only one of those was considered significant. Overall, he scored 11 of 18 total strikes, but only 4 of those were considered significant. So in that kind of tie clinch where, he's got him up against the cage and he's started to throw some of those punches there, they landed, but they just weren't considered significant. Volk in that clinch against the cage as well, he was credited with 40 odd seconds of control time in those exchanges, whereas Makhachev was only given 19 seconds of control time.
Another thing that's hard to grasp when we talk about significant strikes, and this is like impertinent to the fight before with Kamaru as well, it's fucking hard to gauge. Like you might see 4 or 5 shots thrown, right? But there's one sneaky knee in the clinch that lands flush into the liver and it changes the whole fight. But you don't really understand it because you're not in there getting hit. So not all like knee strikes or body shots or head strikes or that, they're not all created equal. And some of them seem relatively innocuous, but they feel different. You know, Sammy, even like with you at training, like when you're moving around, doing some of the striking and you're just playing and it's not even hard, but a shot gets through and it hits you like in the stomach or something. But earlier, someone else might have hit you with no, and it didn't hurt, but this shot lands just right and you get winded. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, even those, especially those kind of, I suppose, front kind of teep kicks up the middle and that as well, even if you're just demonstrating and you're just showing this is what it's like, those ones hurt, even if it's relatively mild and you've still pulled it as well.
Yeah, it's the body shots are weird, man. Like even the head shots, they can land right on the chin. It doesn't have to be that hard. Johnny says, who do you think gets the next title shot at middleweight, Hamzat or DDP? I would like DDP to get it, but I doubt it. I think it'll be Hamzat, but I want DDP to get it. But Hamzat might have broken his hand. I don't know, from all reports, or might have to get it rehabbed or whatever. He could be out for a while. Even if it's not broken, he might still have to get it rehabbed. Sometimes you do stuff where you like jar your fingers or your thumbs, or you hurt a ligament in there, and it just takes a long time to heal. Sometimes longer than an actual broken bone. Like this thumb, like I remember having problems with it for months and months and months, and I didn't break it, and I don't fight for a living, so it would bother me just holding a pen, but it wasn't broken or anything. I think the more pertinent question is what's next for both these guys. This is what I'm interested in, and who you guys think they should be fighting. I would like to see Alex versus Ilya. I just don't want to see Alex versus Ilya too soon, because I don't think I don't necessarily want to see that too soon, but I do want to see him fight Ilya. I think that's a good test. And as far as Islam is concerned, I think Gaethje would be cool. And then maybe if he can, because he can't, if he wants to go up and fight Edwards, he can't leave that too long. Do you know what I mean? You can't leave that too long, because if you lose at lightweight, it doesn't have the same thing. If he goes up, and not even Edwards, he fights Colby Covington, he fights Edwards, whoever wins that belt. If he goes up and wins that belt, massive for him, huge. SG says, I think Holloway versus Ilya will happen for an interim belt. I think so too. I think hopefully Alex has a rest. He's able to rest. I think that's a smart thing for him to do. And then I love Max Holloway, but I hope Ilya beats him just to see new blood in that division. But I think Alex needs a rest. That's my opinion. That's what I would like to see next. Alex take a rest, fight Ilya down the track if Ilya beats Holloway. And I'd like to see Khamzat versus Israel, or Kamaru versus Israel, and DDP versus Strickland. This is what I think. But Israel and Kamaru aren't going to fight. So, yeah. Anything else, Sammy, on the stats?
No, I think 3-minute fight with not a lot going on until right at the end. So there's not really a lot you can compare against either. But yeah.
Someone she said knees to the sternum are rough too. Knees to the sternum are awful, my friend. They're fucking awful. Hanoi Tripper says thumbs take ages to heal. I did my left one playing 40 ages ago. What's going on there? Oh, thumbs take ages to heal. Did my left one playing footy ages ago, and if I play the guitar, it still gives a sharp pain. And that's why I say to you, look, I don't know what Khamzat did. I don't know if he broke it. I don't know if he tore a ligament. I don't know if he just really badly jarred it. But if you can't use your thumb and you're a grappler and you can't grab, this is going to be a big problem. And whilst Khamzat is a dangerous striker because he hits hard, he's not a dyed-in-the-wool striker that's going to be able to change his game as easily on the feet as someone like Israel with a broken hand would or thing. And not all breaks are created equal. This is what people don't understand. Like, not all breaks are created equal. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about the personality between the fighters. Johnny says Islam versus Colby would be huge. The trash talk would be off the hook. It'd be interesting seeing the trash talk between them. I think that I don't think that Colby beats Edwards necessarily. I don't know, because I haven't seen Colby fight for a long time. He's getting in that upper echelon of 30. I don't necessarily see him beating Edwards, and then Islam, that's going to be an interesting fight with either one of those guys. And it's going to be interesting to see how Islam handles not having the same mechanical advantage that he does at lightweight, because he's a big lightweight. Khabib's a big lightweight. And I've said this before about Volkanovski, and I'm always cheering for Volkanovski, but Volkanovski doesn't have the same mechanical advantage at lightweight that he does at featherweight. Can he beat a lot of the lightweights? Yes, fucking oath he can. He's a monster, and he's very, very good, and he's very, very technical. But at featherweight, during his run at featherweight, was pretty much unbeatable, So this is very, very different. So I don't know how far he goes at welterweight. Islam, he might even be better. I don't know, because I do think that a lot of times when fighters go up, it's better for them. And I do think that the heavier you go, the worse the fighters are, so to speak. So I do believe that lightweights are better than welterweights and welterweights are better than middleweights. I believe this, right? But lightweights and welterweights and featherweights, that's where most people in the world walk around at. You know what I mean? So it's still a hard one. You need that mechanical advantage in those lighter weights if you can use it, if you know how to use it. Harry DeLuca says, Fab, can you ask Sam what his skincare routine is and what shampoo he uses? Sammy, if you'd like to answer that quickly.
Yes, I actually I've bottled Harry's Sweat, and that's my skincare routine. And then I've had the Friar Tuck haircut since I was about 12, so I don't really need any shampoo. So
the Friar Tuck haircut. Bobby P says, Hamzat fought a welterweight in Kamaru Usman. Why does he deserve a title shot? He still hasn't fought a ranked middleweight. I agree with all of that. But in fairness to say this, the Kamaru is not just a welterweight. He's a former champion, just was a champion now. But no, I agree with you. I don't think he should get the title shot. I think Dricus gets the title shot, should get the title shot in a perfect world. Hanoi Tripper says, do you think Nickel beats Hamzat, or is he a bit overhyped? I think in that particular fight would be interesting to see. I think Bo Nickel probably needs a few more fights. Hamzat's been in the fight game longer. I don't think that Hamzat does to Bo Nickel what he did to Kamaru. I don't think that happens. I think Bo Nickel's a better wrestler of the two. SG says, looking forward to Jones versus Miocic and Pereira versus Prohashka breakdowns. Man, I'm looking forward to doing those too. We will definitely be doing it. Bodybuilding News says, laugh out loud at Chimaev having the Warlord's kids as his cornerman. Then he wonders why he can't fight in the US. Having said that, and this is where I'd like some sensitivity to this, you don't know why that's occurring. Do you know what I mean? This is the reality, because people still have families in those countries or in other countries or whatever. So you don't know why this is happening. He might not necessarily be a sympathizer, or he may be. I don't fucking know. But at the same time, I try and stay away from the politics of it, because it affects people in their home countries. You know, it affects people with things like that. You don't know why that has to happen, or why that happened, or why he wanted to do it. I don't know. SG says, imagine Mighty Mouse at lightweight or welterweight. Well, you can see when Mighty Mouse fought Dominic Cruz at bantamweight, and Dominic Cruz just was too big, man, just way too big. Threw him all over the place. Now, Dominic Cruz is a phenomenal bantamweight, but it was just way too big, man. Like, just way bigger, like, could do a lot of different things. Yeah. Any thoughts, Semi, on what should happen next, or any stats that you want to pull out?
No, not really. We've kind of gone over the stats enough, and I'm not too sure what would be next for either of them.
I think, what do you think with Volkanovski? Who do you want to see him fight next?
I suppose he's got to fight Ilya. He's called it out enough as well. But
Ilya's fighting Max, though, isn't he, for the interim?
Okay, fair enough. Well, yeah, I suppose to just see what happens then. But he's kind of exhausted that in the I suppose whoever's the result of that one then as well will be up to Volk. So
imagine, I'm not keen on seeing him fight a fourth time against Holloway, though. I'm not really keen on that. But yeah, guys, please do this. SG says, great stuff, gents. Looking forward to a beekeeping channel, Fab. We might do some beekeeping stuff. Sam's a beekeeper. I'm just the sorcerer's apprentice. Johnny says, I hope they don't give the Ilya to Holloway. If that happens, we might be getting Max versus Volk 4. Yeah, I'm not interested in seeing that, to be honest with you. Even if Holloway wins, I think, like, you can't fight a guy 4 times. You know, it's just, when you've lost 3, it doesn't make sense. Bodybuilding News, is it official for the interim? No, it's not, but I don't know, man. I just think that Volkanovski should probably take some time, you know. Like, this is just me when we're talking about what's next. Guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell. Guys, thank you so much for being here and for talking with us, and I will catch you guys very, very, very soon. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.